Yo, 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 what's up? What's up? What's up? Welcome to the Killjoy Jake YouTube channel. Guys, it is time to hop into the kill zone, talk a little Scream, a little horror tonight. I greatly appreciate you all for hopping in. We are hanging out with the Night Watch Zone. What's up, my friend? How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm ready to get into some weird or maybe interestingly weird stuff going on with Scream and possibly Scream 8.
There is some interesting and crazy stuff going on with Scream 8, which is why I want to get into it today because it's a lot of just insanity, a lot of like, whoa, is this what's happening? A lot of weird things going back and forth here. We may have directors, we definitely have writers, and one thing is for sure, we are getting another movie on the horizon. So lots of
Yeah.
possibilities are out there, and old Jake is excited. Now, I do want to say a few things before we get into this. First and foremost, we did have a different stream that I had to delete and restart. So if you're like, what the hell's going on? You're in the right place. We are live. This is real. This is not
This is not
AI.
AI.
Oh shit. Knight and I, same wavelength tonight, dude. I love it.
Oh, that was great.
That's insanity right there. But yeah, thank you for being with us on the right stream. Something freaked out on my last stream setup, so I don't know what was going on. Had to change that. We're fixing it, and now we're here. One other technical difficult. I've been having technical difficulties all week. If you're a Patreon supporter, you might have noticed that there was no Dexter uncut version. I even had some Patreon supporters message me say, "What the fuck, Jake? What's going on here?" we I had a technical issue with the uncut version of that too, and I just solved it earlier today. Now it is up on Patreon, so go check out the uncut version of episode 6, and we'll have episode 7 out for channel members and hopefully Patreon supporters if there's no other issues tomorrow. So lots of Dexter stuff coming, and I know there's Dexter news. It doesn't make any sense to me because I guess I'm not at that point of
Right.
Dexter, but I
Right.
had to get that out there. We're kind of a Dexter channel now too. Night. So it's just
Yeah. Hey, look, I mean, better to do that than be a possible victim of the Bay Harbor Butcher. I mean, look, you gotta be smart.
it's true. It's true. It's an insane show though, and you definitely should watch our watch alongs here on this page because man, they're fun.
That's right. Follow the code.
Follow the code of Harry, baby. Oh my god.
Yeah.
I'm loving this show so much, man. But anyways, do want to kind of get into a little bit of this tonight. So earlier in the week, we've been talking about this quite a bit now, is that the Zuckerman sisters will be writing Scream 8. That is officially confirmed from Deadline. And that's also our first kind of big confirmation that Scream 8 is green lit, which is exciting. It's
Yeah.
my favorite color when it comes to a Scream movie. Wait for it. Wait for it. Wait for it. We have there we go. It's not red. It's green. Ta-dum.
Right.
But the exciting rumors that are going around right now is that the Soska sisters will be directing. And I think this is really unique. I can't think of another film where one set of sisters wrote a film and then a different set of sisters directed it. That's insanity to me. And Knight, you seem to know a lot more about the Soska sisters than I do. That's the rumor right now, so that's not confirmed. I just want to clarify that. But Knight, tell us a little bit about these directors.
I mean, I think that they definitely have got a really interesting style. The first time that I got to see any of their work was American Mary, which I believe was in 2012, I believe, with the great Catherine Isabel in the lead. And yeah, I mean, they've got a really cool little eclectic filmography. They've worked on the remake of Rabbit, which of course originally was a David Cronenberg. Little Gem, a very cool movie, and like you were saying, like we were talking about backstage, they kind of like turned it on its head a bit. They also did that sequel to if you're a wrestling fan, to Kane's See No Evil. And so that
Okay,
hey,
okay.
but hey, if you're into slashers and brutality, and just kind of like going balls to the wall, I mean, See No Evil is no joke. The sequel, I only remember it vaguely because I watched over a friend's house while we were also like partying and stuff like that, and so I don't remember it too well. But they've got a pretty good style. They really do. So it's interesting to kind of hear that they are attached to this because when you think of, obviously we've only had Kevin and Radio Silence and Wes directing Scream films. This is the most out of the box choice out of all of these directors. So that could be good though. We were just talking about it on the collective. We want to move the franchise forward. We want to see it, continue to grow and be successful. Maybe this is part of the answer. Maybe this is part of the answer.
Yes, and I want to see new creatives tackle this, and I feel like
Mhm.
that's why this is such an exciting update for me personally. Is it's like this is such an out of left field choice, and that is
Yes.
what Scream needs right now. We need some weird people to offer up such a completely different and fresh perspective. And knowing that the Soska sisters did, and I have not seen any of their movies, which bums me out. I'm gonna have to go on a marathon here.
Yeah.
Knowing that they did the Rabid remake, though, again, I have not seen it. I've seen the original David Cronenberg flick, but what I do know about that flick is it's like a total reimagining of that same story, just like
Yeah.
kind of a total different idea with the same pieces of the puzzle, essentially. So
Mhm.
that has me like, if they approach Scream with that same kind of idea, that mentality, we could get something really fresh here, whether that's for the better or for the worse. But
I
I'm
agree.
staying positive for now because
Yeah,
that's exciting
no,
to me.
absolutely. And speaking about Rabbit, the thing about Cronenberg, the original, it's such a very lean story. It's very simplistic, which is fine, especially if you have a master like Cronenberg or Carpenter or obviously Wes. But they were able to really add a lot of meat on the bone, so to speak, with their version of it. So that to me bodes well for Scream because you've got the Scream formula that, I mean, as we've been real about, they've kind of really hammered the formula into the ground to where it's not groundbreaking anymore. And not that each film has to be groundbreaking, but I'm just saying we've seen this formula so many times, and they quite possibly could add some interesting flourishes to the formula or change it a bit or just present it in a much fresher way. And to me, that's very exciting. Very exciting.
And you made a really good point there. I trust me, I would love for all the Scream movies to be groundbreaking. That would be
Yeah.
awesome, but that's just not gonna, it's not always gonna be the case. I've seen some people who say that, Scream has earned a popcorn movie with Seven, which I think is a really positive outlook on that film. I just think, for me at least, every Scream film should render a good reason to exist. Because I think what I
Mhm.
love about the original so much is what it says about horror at the time, what had gotten stale, and decided to do something that was the opposite of that. And I
Yep.
feel like almost all the other sequels, except for our latest one, found a way to kind of hit on something that was going on in the space of horror. And I thought that was
Mhm.
really fun. And that was, again, not every single one of those movies is super brilliant and like, wow, that blew my mind. But they were able to hit on what people were thinking. And Seven was the first time where I feel like that was not a priority.
Yeah.
It was just more so like, we're just going to make a fun slasher with Ghostface. And we got some good
Yeah.
kills. That was awesome. Again, I think the murder mystery and the reveal and all that was kind of tossed to the side. They didn't really care about that. It was much more
Mhm.
about, we're doing the fun slasher. We're going to have Ghostface run around and rip people apart like he's Art the Clown. And, that works for some people. And I love the
Mhm.
kills. It was great. I just, when it comes to Scream, there's certain pillars, there's certain things that need to be upheld that other franchises don't necessarily have. That's what gives this series personality.
It is, and again, you've got to ask yourself a question. Do you want the popcorn Scream, or do you want the thing that made Scream survive for 30 years? And I'm not necessarily saying one is right or wrong. We've talked about this a lot too, as far as, today's audience and the way studios look at content. And notice I said content. It might craft this franchise in a much different trajectory. And I mean, I guess we'll have to see where it goes, but I personally enjoy the murder mystery. I enjoy the character interactions and dialogue and chemistry. And Ghostface is secondary to me. You know what I mean? Like Ghostface having some great kills, that's great, but I'm really invested in the characters and seeing them get into these situations and try to figure out what's going on, more so. And so it's going to be interesting to see where the franchise heads from here. It's almost like Scream 7 said, hey, how about we, I'm not saying copy off of, but just some of the regular slashers out there, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
see what happens. And Kevin even said it, that this one isn't really as meta, which you were right, Kevin. I mean, but I mean, I don't know, man. Like I said, I can't wait to watch it again and absorb it and just really kind of, But it's definitely the first sequel that I've kind of been like, well,
Yeah, yeah. I just walked out of the theater and I didn't feel like I had watched a Scream movie. Like it was the first time I feel like I had seen
Yeah.
one for the first time and really felt that way. It didn't. The things that I like about Scream weren't really present in that film, and it made me sad. So I'm definitely wondering what we're gonna get here in whatever comes next. In terms of those things that make Scream Scream and give it its unique personality, the reason that it stood above the rest at the time. I just feel like why make a Scream film and not have that be a part of it moving into
Right.
the future? That doesn't make any sense to me.
Right. I mean, that's the bread and butter. That's what makes Scream Scream.
It's almost like
And
making a Halloween without Michael Myers, you know?
yeah, yeah, exactly. It's like, and other franchises, and we talked about this too, other franchises, kind of dabbled in doing something way left field, and more often than not, it doesn't really work.
Yeah.
Or at least I should say it's very divisive. If you look at things like even most recently, Halloween Ends. If you look at things like Freddy's Dead. You remember how hard they pivoted in Freddy's Dead and he's playing Nintendo and shit? And it's like, what are we doing? This
It's
is
so
not
goofy. It's like
it's
it's too
so
goofy.
goofy. This is not the guy that scared the shit out of me in 84. And with that particular example, they intentionally wanted that quirky humor. Like the director of Freddy's Dead was heavily, I should say, inspired by things like Twin Peaks and stuff like that. And you can see that in the DNA of that film, but that's not really what made Elm Street so special, especially when it was at its peak.
Yeah, like there's nothing wrong with a little bit of goofiness,
Yeah.
especially in Nightmare on Elm Street. I mean, I think it's always inherently had a little bit of that in its DNA, but you can go too
Hmm.
far off the rails. Like I think
Yes.
Scream 7's another great example. Like we had some great kills, we had some fun little chase sequences, but when that's the only thing you're offering up, you can't
Hmm.
forget about the rest of the things that are great about the series. And
Hmm.
Freddy's Dead, yeah, you don't really have those strong characters or that strong story that like kind of the original does. I mean, oh my God, Nancy is such a badass in the third act of that original Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah, yeah.
You don't have that in some of the other sequels, and I feel like that's where Nightmare loses some stuff for me, and it's kind of something similar here with Scream 7. Is like I didn't really feel that badassery from some of our main characters. I felt like Sidney Prescott was really out of character. Just a lot of things like that where I'm just like, man, these are you can't mess that up. That's just way too important, man.
Right?
We have a lot of other Scream things I want to get into tonight too, regarding the core four, what the approach is going to be for this next movie. Just so many big questions that have to be answered. But I do want to. We have some super chats coming through, and I greatly appreciate you guys supporting the page. Like Peyton Ruark throwing $2 out there, saying hello, Jake, Knight, Erica, all. How are we tonight?
Doing great. Great.
Covered in mayo from the waist down. You can't prove me wrong right now.
You can't. That's the beauty of our situations.
You don't know what I'm covered in from the waist
You don't
down
know
right
what
now.
lies beneath.
You- no one will ever know. What's up, Peyton? Thank you so much for the $2. Thank you for hanging out with us, and I hope you're having a very fun. I hope you're having a fun little time hanging and talking horror with us. Thank you for the support. YB is also saying Halloween 3 mention. I will any
Yeah.
excuse to bring up Halloween 3. I,
Oh
I
yeah.
I will bring it up.
Yeah, man. I mean, they took a sharp turn, and of course, back then it definitely didn't work. It's found its cult following years later, and today, and people can appreciate it for what it is. But again, I mean, again, a lot of people loved Scream. I mean, it made over $200 million. So who knows? Who am I to say that I was frustrated a little bit with it? So.
Yeah, I know. It made a lot of money, so it's like I wonder if they just keep that formula now because that was so successful. Like they just leaned fully into the nostalgia. Why do anything else?
Hmm.
It's
Hmm.
one of those frustrating things, as they say. But Halloween 3, though, I feel like is such an interesting scenario because yeah, well, like I think you and I both really love it. In fact, we made a whole
Hmm.
video about it one time.
Yes.
But I think that I understand why even today there's some Michael Myers fans who are not crazy about it. You
Oh
know,
yeah.
like I get why they feel like it doesn't really belong in this franchise, but I just I
Absolutely.
love it for the weird little movie that it is.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, and to be honest, look, you never know what's gonna happen. I mean, this is one of my best examples ever in my own fandom. But I hated Halloween 3 as a kid, and for years until I was like in my early 20s. And then one day I just said, I know Michael's not in it. Let me just watch it and just absorb it. And I loved it. I was able to accept the fact that this is kind of like an Elseworlds sequel, something that had nothing to do with the previous two, and I was, fine with it.
It's just horror that also takes place on Halloween night.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
Uh, and Tom Atkins' delicious mustache.
Yes.
You got to love that
Yes.
thing.
Always.
Eric is throwing $2 out there saying 52 viewers and only 23 likes. Go hit the like button, please.
Right.
What's going on here?
Right?
Come
Erica's gonna
on.
be coming through the screen and getting people.
She can do that. She has like 3D abilities where she can just pop through the screen and yank some fingers off. So just, avoid that trauma.
Yeah, we don't want that for you.
No, we don't want that for you. Just hit the like button to be safe. Erica, thank you for throwing a super chat out there. Really do appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. We also have some channel members hanging out with us, like Joan Sclafani saying Halloween Ends sucks. It
I
kind of
can't fight it.
does.
I can't fight it.
Man, I want to like it too.
Bro,
Rowan
yeah,
Campbell is great. I think Rowan
he
Campbell's
is.
great.
He's fantastic. Like he took what they wanted him to do and he went with it. And I thought he was great. And I think there's some good moments. The music's great. The cinematography's great. What they had Allison do had some weighty moments. Um, but it wasn't cohesive altogether. And I think that unfortunately they did not include Michael enough. Like Michael should have had at least one, if not two more scenes that he
Yeah.
was a part of. And then me personally, and of course I'm a huge, me, I'm a huge Halloween fanboy. But me personally, if he had at least two more scenes, it would have, changed my whole outlook of ends a lot more. Cause then I would have at least had my fill of Michael, especially because we got so much Michael in 2018 and Kills, so it was a hard shift to have him only in like 3 or 4 scenes.
And I think about almost all the other Halloween movies where like the objective or what the conversation, the problem is constantly the dramatic question is, where is Michael? How can we stop him? And that's just
Hmm.
that's not what's going on. It's not even so much the screen time that bugs me about Halloween Ends. It's more so the fact that like the movie's just not about Michael Myers in any way,
Hmm.
shape, or form. Like you kind of
Hmm.
could have done that movie without him. It's
Yeah.
it's almost like
Yep.
it's not a Halloween movie. Like I feel like the people who hate Halloween 3, that's the reasons why I don't like Halloween Ends, you know what I mean? But it's the difference there though is that Michael Myers is in this film and he's treated like the most side of side characters, you know what I
Right.
mean? That's to me is what stings about Ends to me.
Yeah. I mean, there were even a couple of shots from the trailer where you saw Michael in the frame, and it wasn't in the final cut. They had that one scene in the house in the finale where, him and Lori were going to have their epic showdown. And there was a scene where once he got the mask and he was standing up, and it was kind of a parallel of the scene in 78 when he stood up behind her when she had her back to him and thought that he was dead by the closet door. And they didn't have that Halloween end scene in the movie. And I was like, what are you doing? That was at least another moment I could have with Michael. What are we doing?
We're cutting Michael moments out of this.
Right?
That's crazy.
You
Oh
can't do
man.
that. He's already on a diet. What are we doing?
And another thing to both Scream 7 and Halloween Ends points is they both have some like scenes where I was like, this is fucking hype as hell. I love the scene in Scream, like McKenna Grace's death is chef's kiss. I cannot complain about that at all. And in Halloween Ends, that scene where Michael and Corey are tag teaming,
Yeah.
that's great. That's so like if the whole movie was that, I could get into Michael and his sidekick Robin. You know what I mean? I could get into that. That'd be fun. But that's just not what the whole movie was.
No, and when that first kill on the cop, the asshole cop, and Michael, is kind of getting his mojo back, and he's doing the Hulk Hogan and stuff, and I'm like, okay, I see what they're gonna do. I see what they're gonna do. Corey's gonna like bring him back, as he kills, he's gonna. And they didn't do that. What are we doing? Like, good God, you guys had it right there.
It's crazy, but I will say too, and just another thing is that these are movies that I think both of us dislike, but there are worse movies out there.
Oh yeah.
These might be like our least favorites from like our favorite franchises, but man, I mean, House Shark is so much worse than both of these. I promise you there are worse movies than Halloween Ends and Scream 7. So that's what I always think about is like we talk about these movies a lot. So I think people think like we hate them and they're like the worst movies ever. But man, there is some shit out there, man.
Yeah.
There's some pure garbage.
Yeah. But I know what you did last summer 2025. I mean, what are we gonna do?
Exactly. That's one of the movies. That's one of the shit. Okay, that's one I'll hate on though. That one's just stinks to high heavens. But anyways, Adam Purr is throwing $50 out there. Adam, thank you for the support. We really appreciate that a ton, man. I love your Blink 182 profile picture, by the way. Very cool stuff there. Just because you guys rock, and I appreciate you both. We appreciate you, Adam. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you for the support. That really means a lot. Helps us keep that green light on in the back. So thank you. Thank you for the support. And thanks for listening to us yap. Sarah has also gifted a membership. And who's that going to? That's going to Samantha Robinson. Welcome, welcome. Ooh. You can check out the Dexter videos early now as a member, which is pretty damn cool. There's 2 of those a week. 2 of them bad boys. Not 1, 2.
That's right.
For the price of 1.
Double your pleasure, double your fun.
And that's double the pleasure. That's how I like it. Sarah, thank you so much for the support. Thank you for being a member, and thank you for gifting a membership. You're way too kind. Very good stuff. Thank you guys all a ton. Really means a lot. All right, but big question of the night. Why I titled the stream this, because it's kind of the big creative direction that I think a lot of people are thinking about. The Soska sisters, I'm hearing, have been talking a lot about Sydney. They've been reposting like some little GIFs or GIFs, however you want to pronounce it, of Sydney Prescott, and they're saying they're big fans of this character. Do we think we're doing another Sydney story here, or is there some snowball's chance in hell that the Core 4 could come back to life, resurrect from the grave somehow, and be back in Scream 8? What are your thoughts on this night?
Well, I'll tell you what. The smart money is leaning towards Nev. Okay, I mean that's kind of where my logical mind is headed because of the fact, like you said, the affinity that they have for Sydney, that everyone has for Sydney, and rightly so. She's earned that, and I don't think 7 diminishes that for me as a fan. If anything, it makes me want to see a great Scream film so she can shine all the way again. You know what I mean? The way things are set up right now with, her and Isabel May as Tatum and this part of her life, it would seem to me that this has to have Sydney all over it again, or at least be a part of it. And of course, her daughter may be taking the reins, so to speak. I will say though, and I think we talked about it on the collective, wouldn't it be interesting if they could bring the Core 4 back in either one of 2 things? The Core 4 come back and they're kind of in the forefront. You could still have Nev come in just like she did in 5, whatever. Or what if like Scream 8 is the Core 4 and Scream 9 you bring Sydney back with the Core 4?
So it's kind of like,
would be crazy.
Seven's like here's the Sydney story,
Yeah,
then we're doing like a core four story, and somehow
yeah,
that's going to merge together for part nine. So like this is like a
yeah.
weird little trilogy kind of
Yeah,
thing.
it's like with Infinity War, with Avengers. I'm gonna go Avengers, man.
We're going there.
We're going there because Infinity War was a totally different type of movie than Endgame,
Yeah.
and there were different parts of the Avengers team that were featured in each. You know what I'm saying? And I thought that was really cool, but yet they did it in a way where I didn't feel as though missed anyone per se. Um, and yeah, I mean, what if they did that with Scream? I think they're in a really cool position. I'm not saying that's what they're going to do, and I'm not saying that that's the smart move per se. And of course, there's a lot to be talked about as far as Melissa and the different obstacles to jump over and so forth. But I'm just saying, with the audience now being firmly, a part of both aspects, the OG fans and now the core four fans, man, it would be crazy, man. It would be crazy.
Well, and that's a big conversation that I feel like is going around about Scream 7. And Mikey is, and Peyton, I saw your super chat. I'm not skipping it. Mikey is hitting on exactly what I think we're talking about right now. Mikey, thank you for being a member for 6 months. You're saying what they heard, meaning Spyglass, I imagine, is saying that what was Sydney makes 200 million, she's coming back regardless. Now, I want to hear your opinion.
Mhm.
Did Scream 7 make $200 million because they brought back Sydney? Or I don't know.
I think that it was a combination of a lot of things. I think it was, obviously Nev Campbell coming back was big. They leaned on the nostalgia, but don't discount all the Matthew Love, this whole idea of what are they gonna do with the past killers and the past characters and so forth. That was a big part of it, and I also think there was curiosity involved. What are they going to do with the story without Melissa Barrera and Jenna Ortega? You know what I mean? Like I think there was a lot of things factored in. I don't think it was just Sydney, because Scream 6 didn't have Sydney in it, and that made a lot of money. So,
Yeah.
I think it was a lot of things all together. They also did well with the marketing. They did a really good job with the marketing. They had 80,000 TV spots, so everyone on the planet saw at least one of them. Um, but no, I'm just playing. But no, they did it. They did a really good job, and I think social media is, as always nowadays, it was a big part of things too. So I think it was a lot of different factors. I don't think it was just Sydney.
I agree. I think sure maybe Sydney was a part of it, but like Matthew Lillard is in this renaissance right now
Oh yeah.
where we're seeing people come to the Scream franchise, especially this movie, who may not even be fans. They know Matthew Lillard from other stuff now, whether that's Scooby
Mm,
Doo, whether that's Five Nights at Freddy's, some of the other weirder indie projects he's been a part of. That was a big draw to this movie because Matthew was going to have some sort of on-screen appearance, is at least what
hmm
it seemed like from the way that they announced his his involvement essentially. And of course, like you were saying, the old killers coming back, like nostalgia does sell. And it
Yeah.
was a big worry I had going into this film because I'm like, if they do that and this movie makes a lot of money, I fear that the franchise will just be that moving forward. And I think we might be in that right now. I think we just might be in that situation that the toothpaste has come out of the tube and it's never going back in.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, the one possibility, and that's why I liked, where you were kind of going with this idea of the stream. I mean, if they were able to bring the core four back, that could help offset it. But even if they didn't, if they were able to get a really good story where the Meeks twins, had some weight, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not saying they've got to be front and center, but if the story allowed them to really shine and to really, both actors are so charismatic. Mason is charismatic, Jasmine is as well. If they could, if nothing else, be, the Robin to Sydney's Batman, because they're not doing anything with Gail really. I mean, I just think, although I think she was better in 7 than in 6 as far as what they gave her to do, but in that third act, it's like, where's Gail? Where's Gail? They're just I don't know what they're thinking with this character, but it's crazy. But with the Meeks twins, you could do a lot of cool things, story wise, dialogue wise, chemistry wise, and even trying to deal with Ghostface wise. So, yeah.
I think like to me the problem with that is like if they just bring these characters back, they know that there's a group of people who are just gonna like that and be happy with it. But like
Mhm.
they have done literally nothing with Gale Weathers in 3 movies. Like that is so disappointing. Like this is such an iconic, great character, and she is only
Mhm.
brought back for nostalgia. And they even admit it in Scream 6. It's frustrating to me. I wish that they would do something with this character. And again, the fan base will go bananas over these small little moments where the characters do get to do something. Like there's this scene in Scream 7 where Gale talks a little bit about how she has nerve damage now. She's in a very similar place to Dewey where he was in Scream 5. And people have
Mhm.
just brought that up nonstop. Absolutely love it. But what does that do? Like if that wasn't in the movie, it wouldn't affect the story at all.
Right.
If Gale
Right.
Weathers was not in this movie, it wouldn't have mattered. Someone else could have driven over Carl or whatever, and nothing would have changed. And it's the same complaints we have about 6. It's pretty much the same complaints we have about 5. And I
Mhm.
wish that if they were going to bring these characters back in the first place, they would do something worthwhile with them.
Yeah.
I'm frustrated with that because like the only reason they're bringing them back is because they know that if these characters are present, more people will show up.
That's right. Yeah.
I don't know, man. If you're going to bring them back, do something with them. Don't overstuff your movie to the point where it's like the only thing they get to do is have a couple lines here and there. Like I'd rather just have one legacy character come back and you do some epic fucking story with them. And that's it. That's all the nostalgia you put in the movie.
Yep, I agree. And we had talked about so many ways that they could have done something interesting with Gail. Like if she was on a show and there was a Ghostface attack, or something like that. If she had the rivalry with Mark Consuelos, dig into that a little bit, and maybe there's some fun things you could have had. I think of like Scream 3. The Gail was so much fun in some of the most normal, I guess you could almost say could have been boring type of scenes, but she shined because of how she pinged off of Parker Posey. Like those
Yes.
moments still live in my head because it was so much fun. And it's not like, I mean, and I'm not even talking about when they were, at the mansion or anything like that, but even before that, just some of their interactions and what they were saying to each other, that was fun. And there was a reason for Gail to do things. But like you said, these last 3 movies, it's been virtually non-existent. And it's like, how could you guys not give her something real to do? You know?
I would like, for me at least, I'd rather them just go like they keep making these movies that are in the middle, like of let's try to do maybe let's kind of half do our new movie and let's half do a legacy character story. I would rather them
Yeah.
just go all in on one or the other. If they
Mhm.
made a movie that was just about Sydney, just about Gail, just about those characters and people in their age range or whatever, okay, cool. But we keep trying to do this thing where we're splitting the focus too much, and it's not
Mhm.
working. It's
Yeah.
just resulting in these like half-cooked stories on both sides, and they just make for movies that are maybe fun to watch one time. And I
Yep.
that's what's really bumming me out about Scream 7 is like if this wasn't my job, I don't know if I'd revisit that film. Like I'm going to. I know
Yeah.
that's harsh, isn't it? I feel
Yeah.
that bums me out. I love the Scream franchise. I love
Right.
Screams 1 through 6 fucking rock. I have seen them so many times. But I knew walking out of 7 that I just was like, that was just okay. Like that was a one that was like Fear Street Prom Queen. Like I liked it about the same amount as that. Like it had some cool kills. Will I watch it again? I don't know. There's just
Right,
nothing
right.
else to dig into with that film. And like I just think about some of the other characters and things we were able to do with some of the previous relationships between these
Yes.
characters. And we haven't even scratched the surface of meta horror commentary yet, which is like that's
Mhm.
so much fun to break into and talk
It
about.
is. It is.
But I hope that whatever Scream 8 is, I don't even care who it focuses on. As long as they just get back to that in some way, I'll be
Yeah.
happy.
We gotta have the characters, bro. Like you think about 5 and we talked about our issues with 5 and 6, but you know what I liked? I liked moments with Wes and I liked moments with Amber and Richie. I liked, moments with Quinn and even moments that I could crack on Ethan, but at least I could talk about interactions and moments and stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like he was more fully fleshed out than the characters in Seven, and that's a problem. That is a big problem. Like I can't talk that much about Ethan Embry. I just can't. You know, and I
No.
love Ethan. I love Ethan Embry, but I can't really say a lot about what he brought to Scream 7. And unfortunately, I can say the same thing for Anna Camp. And I can also say that for Tatum's friends. You know, maybe except for Chloe. Chloe had, you know, some moments in the bar. That was it.
And if this wasn't a Scream film, I'd be like, whatever. You know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah,
okay. I mean, it's, you know, they're meat bags. They're
that's
gonna get
right.
torn to pieces in the next scene. That's great. But Scream usually does a little more than just throw some meat bags at us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think about like Tatum in the original Scream. This is a character who I feel like is so iconic because she has these like goofy little lines throughout
Yes.
that means so much in terms of like the weight of the commentary of the film. I mean, she's like
Hmm.
messing things up like, oh, you sound like you're from one of those Wes Carpenter flicks. Like I
Yes.
love
Little
shit like that.
things. Yes.
It's little tiny thoughtful things like that. Those small details that go such a long way.
Hmm.
It's a character that's quotable. It works. It's corny, but it's fun and it's
Yeah.
also thoughtful. And I
Hmm.
feel like yeah, she got killed too, but you can look at I guess you can look at that character as just like here's a meatbag friend character, but I think there's so much more weight to a character
Right.
like that. We spent so
Yeah.
much time with her beforehand before
She
we
had
got to that point.
layers. She had layers to her. And even when she got killed, it's a memorable death scene.
Yeah.
You know,
It's
oh,
not
please
just,
don't kill me,
you know,
Mr.
poke and
Ghostface. You know, right?
yeah.
Like, did you remember it? And plus, of course, the way she died, as ludicrous as it is, you remember it, and it all came together. And when you leave, you say to yourself, "I'm gonna remember Tatum."
I
You
might
know,
remember the kills of Scream 7, but the setups are forgettable. You know, that's the big difference to me. But anyways, Peyton throwing 5 out there saying, I've been meaning to ask, it's fine if you don't, and be honest, did you like my script better than Scream 7? Because that's what it sounds like. I like most things better than Scream 7. I'll say that. So it just it irks me. I love, you know, making my reviews for Screams 5 and 6 has been some of the most fun I've had making videos for this page. And I just wanted to come out here and be like, okay, all that worry, all those weird updates we got in the last 2 years, it was a bunch of bullshit. This movie was awesome. You don't know how badly I wanted to do that for Scream 7, and I just was like, oh, coming out of that theater, I was so bummed. I was just so sad because I
yep,
really did I wanted to like this movie more than anything, more than any movie that came out this year. I wanted to like Scream 7, but
that's right.
I just don't know, man. It just didn't do it for me. I always see the Scream movies more than once in theaters. I've had no interest to go back and check it out again, which bums
Hmm.
me out too.
Hmm. Yep, I know exactly what you mean because that's how I felt too. I was like, ah, man. Well, you know.
There was an element to 5 and 6 that I was like, ooh, I gotta see that again because
Hmm.
there was a thought provoking angle. At least for me, like everything going on with Dewey in Scream 5, our
Yep.
killers in Scream 5, and the opening scene of Scream 6. Like there were things
Yes.
that like had my noodle cooking, and I was like, "Ooh, I got to go back and see that again" because that was something like great to chew on and talk about. There's nothing like that in Scream 7. It's just a popcorn slasher movie, and that's it.
Yep.
You know?
Yep. Which again, you know, a lot of people, you know, that's something that they enjoyed, and I get it, and I like those types of films. But you know, again, for me, just you know, being an OG type of fan, I wanted a little bit more. I wanted to be able to, like when we talk about the franchise and reveals or characters or you know moments, I wanted to be able to add a whole bunch more to that conversation with Scream 7. But at least with my one viewing of it, I don't think I'm gonna add a lot more to it. You know, I just don't.
I was gonna make a video of ranking the ghost faces, and like I always do that with a new movie because I usually have some new thing to talk about that I haven't talked about already in the previous videos. I canceled that video. I have nothing new to say about our killers from Scream 7. They just don't have a very interesting motive, in my opinion. I don't know what I would say in that video that would make it different than the other videos on this page just like it. Like that, I think that says everything you need to know about Scream 7. Is it a fun popcorn slasher? Yeah. But Scream is not a fun popcorn slasher. It's so much more than that. That is one of the many elements that make this franchise great. We need more pillars upheld. Damn it. I'm going to get off my soapbox. I'm sorry. But Peyton, thank you for the 5. I love your script, man. It was a lot of fun. Peyton's actually writing a Strangers fan film, multiple Strangers fan films. And I will say this, they're definitely better than the last 3 Strangers movies we got. Let me tell you. Whew. You want to talk about something that stinks.
Right.
Adam Purr is throwing $50 out there. Adam, thank you for the support again. This is insane. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Quick question for both of you, and you can include Fate as well. We'll have to tell him on our Monday night Lethal stream. But I want to know which one of you saw Scream 7 first, who texted who first, and what was the text?
Oh. Didn't we saw it before Fate saw it? I'm
pretty sure you and I saw it at the same time, if I'm
Yeah.
not mistaken.
Yeah. Well, you can correct me.
I'm gonna go.
I was just about to do that. I was about to look on my phone too.
I'm going to pass the beach ball to you, and I'm going to look at our text messages, because I remember like just writing the most like, well, that fucking stunk, or something like that to you. Something along those lines.
Yeah. So like we had seen it first, and we were going to wait for Fate to watch it because we didn't want to spoil anything. We didn't want to make them feel, one way or the other. And then in our text thread, Jake let out the bomb, and I think Fate was kind of like more in between, and I just kind of came in and said, yeah, it was kind of messed up, something like that. I can't remember exactly, but
okay, I'm gonna run you guys through our group chat from Thursday, February 26th. I forgot about this. Is cracking me up. I texted at 10:02 p.m. Fellas, that was pure dumpster juice.
That's right.
You responded almost immediately, and you're like, it had a path and then drove off the road.
Oh God.
And then I just say, I think I'm gonna lose a lot of subscribers this weekend, and that's the whole conversation. That's it.
Oh man. Hey, well, look, just for the people that want to know, because Fate did respond. I think he responded it was after midnight. I called it The Reckoning. And then Fate said it really nosedived in the third act. The movie I thought was solid, not great, not bad, until the third act, and then it just hit a rock. It had its good, its bad, but was overall disappointing, a bit disappointing. Thought it was better than 6, though, laugh out loud. I thought they did a better job on building Tatum than Sam in 5. Monday will be interesting. And that was, of course, for our collective stream.
Fate was surprisingly the most positive, I feel.
It was.
That never happens. And I think that's another really interesting thing about these 7 movies. Like I feel like we've all had completely different reactions to all to the last 3 at the very least. That's been so interesting.
True. Very true. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, Fate being the most that never happened, so that was just a big standout. I remember reading that text being like, well, what do you know, Fate does like movies. I didn't know that.
He is human.
He still thinks Halloween Kills is the best movie ever made, though.
He's always gonna love it, and good for him on that.
Yeah, good for him. Good for him.
Yep.
But yeah, we were pretty bummed out about it, which stinks. Yeah. But the kills were great. I can't stress that enough. I was never disappointed with any of the kills in the movie, and that I'm kind of surprised by. I think all the kills were really fun. So you can't say that about every slasher movie. So I think Scream 7 deserves some points for that.
It's true.
That's what I'll say. But Adam, thank you for the 50. Sorry, we spun quite a big yarn for you there. But thank you. Mikey's also throwing 10 out there saying, I found 7 works on a home watch better. You know how you want to watch a made-for-TV movie in IMAX? That's so funny. I think that's another reason, because it feels like a Lifetime movie to me. And maybe watching it at home, I won't be like, oh, I'm in for a cinematic experience when that movie's just not that. That's a good point. I didn't think about that, Mikey. Maybe I'll watch next time I'll watch it is going to be on my couch. Just have to go in knowing the movie is going to talk shit to you for no reason.
I love that.
You think you're gonna watch it at home, Night? I imagine yes.
Yeah. I'm gonna watch it. I want to watch it again, and just let it. let it happen, and just see what I think. I mean, again, I want to love all of these movies. I want horror to always be awesome, and especially with a favorite franchise like Scream. But again, we got to be honest about it. It's like we got to call a spade, and I just had issues with it. Maybe those issues won't be as bad to me the second time watching. It's hard to say, but I'm willing to give it a chance.
I'll definitely give it another chance. And Mikey, I think you're right. Like, I think you're just dead. You're dead right about it. Cause I also saw it in IMAX and I was so excited, and like, it's like you walk into that theater and you're like, you're ready to walk into the craziest cinematic masterpiece of the year kind of thing, like
Yeah.
that's the vibes of walking into that theater. And that's just not, it's not really what I got. So I feel like if this was like a straight to Paramount movie, I wouldn't have been so hard on it. That's so cool that you just got that right there.
I mean,
Look at
like,
you.
bro, I was pumped up for this movie, man. Like,
You,
and
I got two of the popcorn buckets. That's how hyped up I was walking in. I got the damn. I had the post, dude. Walking out of the theater, I got all this shit in my hands. I'm like, oh man, I'm so excited. I was
and
hyped for
you're,
this movie,
I
man.
was too, man. And so like it is what it is. I mean, I think, look, it's the seventh film, you know.
Yeah,
I mean, and there's been a lot of great franchises that at some point, they kind of hit a single and not a home run. It is what it is. It doesn't make me love this franchise any less, or the films, any less, or anything like that. It just is what it is.
still a huge Scream fan. That's such a big thing to be said about
Yeah.
all this. And in a way, I almost feel like I'm more passionate about Scream after this movie. In a weird
Mm.
way,
You want to
I almost.
defend it.
Yeah, like I'm like that's not how. No, that's not how you do Scream. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, and I feel very strongly about that. It's like it's
Mhm.
like, man, this franchise it's better. It's better than Scream 7,
That's
and
right. Do better.
do better because this is a franchise that deserves better, man. This is a
Yeah.
series that I think has been so great for so long and has been such a like just a flagship slasher series that it's like, man, you can't treat it anything less than the absolute best. This should be the zenith. This should be the fucking beacon that all the other slasher films are looking up to and being like, yep, that's well, we messed up. We should have
Yeah.
been doing that. That's what
Right.
all the other slasher movies should be. Jealous.
Yep.
Because
I
this is
agree.
Scream, damn it. Sorry, I'm gonna shut up.
No, you're right.
But Mikey, thank you for the 10. Sorry, I'm on my soapbox. I do got to watch this movie again. And speaking about the future, because it does look very bright moving into Scream 8 here, Paul has given us a very, very, very great point here. It's going to be nice to see an all-female take on this. And if, the rumors are true about the Soska sisters, we'll have, not like, interestingly enough, we've never had a female creative behind the scenes on Scream.
Yeah.
And
Right.
if this happens, this will be 4. This will be 4, not 1. Not like, oh, there's one person in the writer's room who, you know what I mean? It'll be 4. That's so exciting. That's again, we want fresh perspectives on this movie.
Yeah.
This is absolutely going to be that now.
It is. It is. And again, thinking outside of the box. If they approach it the way I would think they'd approach it, you're gonna look at this franchise and you're gonna see the trajectories, and you're gonna, plan accordingly. And again, when you're doing a sequel, especially, you've got to, it's a hard thing to do, granted, but you're trying to honor the past, but you're trying to push forward. You're trying to push things forward as best as possible so you can hand it off to whoever in the future. And so I'm just hoping with the fresh eyes and the fresh minds and the fresh styles that it can really craft something that is cool, and works. And to me, look, you're the filmmaker, bro. You know much better than me. But if I'm thinking about being part of a Scream film, one of the first things that come to my mind are the characters and the mystery. Like
Yeah.
it's not the kills. If we're talking Friday 13th, yeah, I'm thinking of kills. But with Scream, I'm thinking of characters and the mystery.
Yeah, I think that's what again, that's another thing about Scream that I think is so special. We have a focus on characters. Like, there's not really too many. It's crazy to say, but there wasn't really too many slasher films at that time that cared about that kind of thing. And Scream was
Mhm.
like, no, these characters deserve a little more life, a little more an injection of, something that makes them feel like actual human beings. And again, not just meat bags. And
Right.
I feel like that's something that every Scream film has to uphold in some way. I just felt like a lot of the dialogue was just trying to copy the original. There was things where I felt like, characters who were so smart in previous movies were making dumb decisions or things that just didn't line up with their characters. It was a lot of things like that where I'm just like, what? We're not even, that's not even to mention the undercooked murder mystery, which I feel like is also a little disappointing, but I don't
Mhm.
know. I don't want to trash Scream 7 too much, even though I just spent the last 50 minutes pretty much doing so. I I really do think that there is hope for the future, though. I really do. I love this idea of, a sister duo directing, a sister duo writing. That's so interesting to me how that's going to be translated to the screen. This
Mhm.
sounds like the ambitious take that I want from a Scream movie.
I agree. I agree. I mean, and we had been talking about it. Something swing for the fences, do something different, new creatives, a new mindset, and it looks like yeah, we could be going in that direction, and it excites me because it's like, okay, we know that there's a really really good chance that we're going to get something different. We're going to move away from what we've seen previously because again, this is whole new creatives, new writers, new directors, and let's just go for it. Let's make some, like, I would want to make my Scream film something that can be like in that conversation. I don't think anyone that's doing these sequels, not even Wes himself, probably, I would assume, is thinking, okay, well, it's going to be better than that first film. Because the first film, usually, and definitely in Scream,
Yeah.
it's the first time it happens, so there is all of that surprise. You're meeting this whole mythology for the first time. So it's not so much that you're trying to outdo 96, but you could do something that brings a lot of great conversation. You look at 4 and how it was able to do a lot of great stuff. Even Scream 2, had a lot of great stuff. A lot of that was because they brought back the characters and the characters got more comfortable and kind of, pushed their own arcs forward, which was great. But again, these are all ways that you can better a sequel and make a franchise continue to move forward in the future.
Yeah, I do love what you're talking about there in terms of like being more comfortable in these characters, and I think that's why, like, there's this tug and pull of, wanting legacy characters to come back because it's like, well, I'm familiar with them, these are actors that know how to play these characters. But then also, sometimes you look at some of these new people, and when those new characters don't work, that I feel like fuels the fire of, well, it should just be about the legacy characters, why do we even have these new characters in there? I
Hmm.
just feel like for me at least, for a murder mystery, like let's not even talk about script. Let's get a little more general here. Let's just talk about a murder mystery film. I feel like it's easier to make that work in a medium where there's no characters that are safe and not Ghostface. They're never going to make Gail Ghostface. They're never going to make Sydney Ghostface. Sydney's
Hmm.
daughter was never going to be Ghostface. Sydney's husband, who she's been married with for 10 plus years and has multiple kids with, was never going to be Ghostface. And the little girls that she has that were in Colorado, not Ghostface either, believe it or not. I That's just so hard. Like, where we're at with Scream is, it's like you either just drop the murder mystery, like just stop doing it, and that would suck. No one wants that. Or, just have a crazy idea, make a Scream movie with an all new cast of characters, and then you'll probably. I'm not a betting man, but if I were, I'd probably say that's going to be your best bet and getting a really surprising and shocking Ghostface reveal again. If
Hmm.
everybody is a suspect again, I cannot
Yep.
stress that enough. I love Sydney, great character. I love Gail. I love all these characters, man. But
Hmm.
fuck, I want a good murder mystery.
Isn't that the truth? It's true, man. Like, you get to a point where you appreciate what these characters mean and the moments that they've had over the years. But when you see that they're not being used in the right way and they fall short of expectation or hopes and dreams, whatever you want to call it, then it's like, well, damn it. Let them go. Let them ride off into the sunset, right?
it hurts me to say that. Like, I hope everyone knows that, because I love
Yeah,
Sydney. I love all these characters. But you're right, man. I mean, we kind of just have to let them go have their happy ending. At a certain
yeah.
point, you keep bringing them back, and it's diminishing returns. Like, I don't want that for Sydney Prescott. I think she's such a great character. I feel like we gotta wrap up that story and just if
Hmm.
Scream franchises, horror franchises, they're never gonna have final chapters. Like, we'll joke about, we'll advertise them as the final chapter. It's never over, because there's
Right.
always gonna be a new monster. You're always gonna resurrect the killer somehow, some way.
Hmm.
I just think we gotta let Sydney just kind of go have her happy ending, have her peace,
Yeah,
and
man.
maybe have some new characters that have to fight Ghostface.
Imagine that.
Imagine that. But Cinderella, what's up? What's up? I love your name. Your name cracks me up. It's great. Thank you for the $2. I love the profile picture. The fire in the background. Ooh,
Yeah, May isn't playing around.
May's not playing around. Thanks for the $2. I appreciate it. You're saying, what would Steven say about Seven? Knight, I'll throw this beach ball to you.
Oh man. Well, I can tell you this. If he were to have seen it, we all know one thing about our good friend Steven. He would have found a way to look at the positives. That's just inherently who he was. Um, knowing how he felt about 5 and 6, though, I think he would have called out the issues. I think he would have called out the issues with the character development, because there truly was. I mean, I am not trying to make a mountain out of a molehill. Like, the character development just wasn't there. For the side characters. I'm not talking about obviously Sydney or Tatum. They obviously they were focused on them, but like everybody else, it was kind of like, well, other than Mark obviously had, a
Mark was
good
great.
presence, but just about everybody else, it was just like, what are we doing here? So I think he would have called that out. I really do, because at the end of the day, he was real about his fandom for Scream, and his expectations and hopes that he would get out of a movie. So I think that's what I think Steven would have said.
Yeah, and I again, I can't speak for him. I have no idea. I think he would have probably liked the Stu stuff. That was just
Yeah, I
my
think so.
thought. I think he might, just because it's Matthew being able to do his thing again as Stu.
Hmm.
I don't think he would really like. I complain about the implication of it. You know what I mean? It's like, what does that actually do for the character of Stu Macher? Not a whole lot. I don't think he would care about that. I think he'd just be more like, we got to see Stu on screen
Right.
as like in some way a version of that character, older and coming after Sydney again. And I think
Mhm.
I think that would have him hyped up. I
Mhm.
don't know. I definitely do feel like there's no way he wouldn't talk about how it should have been Stu alive at the end, though. You know
Oh
what I
yeah.
mean?
Oh
Like, I
yeah.
feel like he would have been. I don't think he would have been so negative about it. I do agree with you there. But I
Mhm.
do think that he would have wanted the ending to actually be Stu being alive, running around doing his thing.
Oh, I absolutely agree. I mean, as much as it frustrated me, I think it would have frustrated him a lot more, because it was right there.
It was right
Like,
there.
it was right there. You could have revealed him, and he does his thing at the end. Um, Cliffhanger, or either leave it open or he escaped, whatever. And can you imagine how much hype and talk and conversation and debates there would have been? It would have been, personally, and that's just my personal opinion, I just think that would have been, you leave on a high rather than on a bummer, because even people that like it, at least from my conversations with them, even people that like the movie say that the third act was kind of, the weak aspect of it. And again, it's like, you just got to kind of be honest about things, and it was the weaker aspect of the film.
Yeah, and that makes me sad. I think you would have had a little more weight to that movie had it been Stu, because I think it could have been all about like retconning stuff in a way, and that would have gotten into an interesting kind of conversation about horror and how horror movies will do that just to continue the series along. You could have made it all about that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that would have been really, that would have been like, okay, like again, maybe logic has been thrown out the window at this point. By the way, logic was thrown out the window in Scream 7 anyways. So, I mean, that's not even a conversation. Like if you're upset about,
Yeah.
oh, well, it wouldn't make sense if Stu was alive. What happened in Scream 7 as it stands doesn't make any sense. So
Right.
I don't know. Logic is not even a factor in all of this to me. It's like, what is the story that we're going to tell? I think it just would have made more sense for Stu to have been alive. And then we could have implemented some meta commentary in there. It could have been all about like, well, you gotta retcon stuff, Sid, so that the
Yeah.
franchise can keep going forever.
That's what I was thinking. Can you imagine him having some of that dialogue? It just would have been so much fun, and again,
Yeah.
it would have had a little bit of that commentary. So you would have been killing multiple birds with one stone.
And that, like, I could see that chase at the end through the part of the house that's being built. I mean, that would Stu and Sydney do. That would have went so hard. And then finally shoot, like, the kill that they got for Jessica of shooting him in the head twice like that. If that would have been Stu, like, I mean, dude, that's been the conversation. That's why people want Stu to come back, is because he was technically never shot in the head, right? And then for her daughter and Sydney to do that to Stu, like, that's how you execute him. I would have been like, okay, you know what? I'm won over. It's Stu Train, baby. Let's go. This is amazing.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. That would have. It's crazy. I never thought I'd be in this position, Knight. I never thought I'd be here where I'm like, that actually would have been better than what we got.
Yeah, I agree. It really would have, because again, to me, and again, I'm not a filmmaker, but I love movies, bro.
I love
And
movies.
when you think about the best films in the franchise, or any slasher franchise, that third act is a big thing, because now you've got the showdown or the final confrontation or the chase or whatever. And if it works, if it's great, well, then the movie is elevated because of that. But if you go into a third act like you do in Seven, with two killers that they just don't really make it above water. They just don't. And it could be because of the reveal itself. It could be because of the motive. It could be because of the characterization. Any of those things, I could understand a person calling them out on that. But again, you bring Matthew in, and again, he's gonna bring it. You get some cool dialogue, like you said, like, of course I'm back, blah, blah, blah. Like you said, retconning is the only way to make a sequel, and all of these things. That would have been some really cool stuff. And it would have made sense with all the AI. Like, it would have made sense. And of course, that was like 70% of the movie.
It would have made that worth it for me. Like, it would have been like, oh, actually one of them is alive. Because for me, at least, the moment you get, even before that, I'll be honest, I never thought Stu was alive, like in the movie. I never thought it was real. Like, it was so campy and ridiculous that it's like, okay, well, it's obviously someone faking it. None of these characters are alive. Like, the fact that Sydney was believing it, I wasn't into that either. And if honestly you had gotten to the point where it's like, oh, you're making your audience think this is a bunch of BS, because that's what the majority of people were thinking, and then he actually comes out. I mean, that's what was so great about Billy Loomis in the original. They made him so obvious, but then they kind of cleared him, and you're like, well, it can't be him. It's not him. And then it's like, wait a minute, it's what?
Yep.
It would have been great. It would have been perfect, but they didn't. It was right there. It was right there, man. But what can we do? Cinderella, thank you for the 2. Thank you, May. We appreciate you. Mikey saying, so mad. I just wanted the cup, but no luck around me. Ordered one online. It was 3D printed. Oh, no. Did you get scammed?
Ooh.
Oh, that's terrible. I'll send you one of my popcorn buckets. I don't look at this. Look at this shelf. I don't need all this. This is crazy. Let me know. We'll figure something out. Mikey, thank you for the 5. Thank you for the support. I really appreciate that, and I'm so sorry. That's no fun. Did you just get a popcorn bucket, or did you get a cup or anything?
I only did the bucket.
The buckets are cool, man.
They are, man. And I was enjoying my popcorn, and I had my Pepsi and Twizzlers, and man, I was cooking that night. And like I said, I'm a Scream fan at the end of the day. So yeah, of course, the moments that I enjoyed, I was like, yes, yes. But when I was walking out, and that third act, I was kind of like, huh, And when I was walking out, I was like, man, I thought they were gonna. So It is what it is. It is what it is. But yeah, I got the bucket because I'm invested, bro.
I will say, if I had reviewed the movie like just from the first 40 minutes of it, I would have a
Mhm.
very different review. I like up until Carl gets revealed, like the moment that mask comes off, that's the first time I'm really feeling disappointed. The
Yeah.
the movie how it stood before, I was like, this is pretty good. I mean, it's
Yeah.
all right. I'm having a good time with this. Kills are
Yep.
great. Some brutal moments. I think the whole the whole chase scene through Sydney's house is pretty cool, but like
Yeah.
the moment Carl gets unmasked and it's like, oh, that's
Yeah.
the weird guy from the coffee shop.
Yeah.
That's just immediate rush of disappointment, and the whole
It's
movie I feel like just kind of drops from there.
exactly. It's like a wet fart in church. As soon as that mask comes off, and you're just kind of like, wait a minute, who? What? Oh, like you had a great attack scene in the house, good camera work. Give Joel McHale all the credit in the world because
Yeah,
I just owe him so much respect. I mean, it was a great scene with him fighting and all of that, and um, but then the reveal, and it's like, who? And you're like, you could just feel the air come out of the balloon. And you're right. From that point out, that's when things just started to kind of, there were like holes that were starting to appear in the dam.
it really felt like Kevin wanted to do the Scream Six, like his own Scream Six. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like
yeah,
where there was like we had all these like twists and turns in places that it doesn't usually happen, and it just
mhm,
kind of felt like like a magician doing the same trick again. You know, you know what I mean? Like we did that in Scream Six with the early reveal. That was awesome. This was you didn't capture the same energy. You tried to do it again in the same movie that came out a couple years later. Like it's just that's not gonna hit. You know what I mean?
mhm.
What was so great about that in Scream 6 was the other movies had never done that before. What was
Right.
something that 7 could have done for the first time? And they didn't
Hmm.
answer that question.
Yep, yep, they didn't.
I'm shitting on this movie so bad, but the guys, I really loved the kills.
It
The beer tap kill was fucking amazing. Like, can I just like a
was.
top 10 kill from the whole franchise? I need to be positive. I'm being too negative. This is crazy, but Kelly's been a member for 7 months. Thank you, Kelly. I really appreciate the support. You're saying with a reset on writing alone, I feel like 8 is going to be a much better movie. I agree. We can
Yeah,
only go upwards from here, right? Kelly, we're at rock bottom.
yeah. I agree. I absolutely agree. It's got to go up from here.
I think the next one's definitely going to be better. I'm excited. I can't wait to see two different duos in different creative positions. I think that's really interesting.
Hmm.
I can't wait. It's definitely gonna be a better film. I think. Kelly, thank you for being a member for 7 months. I really appreciate your support. Thank you, thank you, thank you. But anyways, final thoughts on Scream 8. Do we? So you think we're probably gonna do the Sydney story again for this next one?
I mean, I think that that's where it's gonna go to because now you've set her up in her arc with her daughter. Um, I don't see why they wouldn't want to try to get Nev on board. Of course, she's very big about making sure that the story works, and supposedly she had some ideas about where 8 could go. So I think if I was a betting man, I would say that it's going to be a Sydney story, or at least she's going to be in the film and be part of what's going on.
Yeah, I wonder. I wonder if that's going to be the case. We have talked so much about budget and how the next one may not make 200 million again because I think some people have kind of fallen off of Scream now after 7 and the reviews weren't so hot. So I wonder what happens with the next one. I
Hmm.
really do because I feel like they're not going to be able to pay anybody $7 million or more than that to be in the
Yeah.
next film. So I don't know. I'm really wondering what is going to be the approach, and not even just based on like there's things I want from the franchise that I don't think is going to happen. But
Hmm.
there's even throwing that aside, I'm just wondering what the approach is going to be. Are they going to make that 55, $60 million Scream movie next? Like, are they going to that's a big risk. That's really ambitious. Do they do
Hmm.
that moving forward?
I don't know, man, but I'll tell you what, they probably feel, well, I don't know. I won't say they feel pretty comfortable with what this one has done, but it wouldn't surprise me if they do. They're like, "Hey, we got a big crowd. We got, brand new fans that are, friggin' 10 and 11 and 12 years old, and we've got these other fans that have been around since 96. So I do think Scream is in a very special position as far as its fandom. It really does have a very diverse fandom, and I think that um, that's a good thing for the franchise. I really do, and I'm sure the studio looks at that and understands that as well. So it wouldn't surprise me if they spend a lot of money on the next one.
Yeah, I think they know that there's more people that are going to show up. You know what I mean? There are
Hmm.
Scream fans that have just recently been indoctrinated, which is
Yeah,
maybe a very heavy word, but people who have just kind of been introduced to the series who really liked this one and how over the
yeah,
top it got. So if you liked 5, 6, or 7, you're likely going to go see 8. It doesn't matter which one of
hmm,
that pack you enjoyed. You're probably going to go check out the next one. So I get
yep,
that. I get being reliant on that too. If I was in the creative in that room, if I was pulling the strings and stuff, I'd probably go a little smaller with the budget on the next one just to be safe. A lot of
yeah,
controversy with Scream 7 that ultimately didn't end up affecting it too, which I think that's another reason why they're probably pretty cocky, confident moving into whatever comes next. I
yep,
just would hate for them to have a big bomb. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
That
I
that
agree.
could kill the franchise, and then we don't get any more movies to talk about. Love them or hate them.
Yep, I totally agree. It's a risk for sure.
Yeah. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. Child's Play fan, thank you for the 2, saying should have been Dewey as AI, then end with Stu. What? How do you feel about that, Night? Like just maybe one character as the AI, and then it's another character who's alive at the end.
I mean, the only thing is that they would have had to set it up in circumstances that would really hit hard, and really be hurtful to Sydney and to Gail if it was Dewey, um, because Dewey's dead. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
like, so I don't know how effective it would have been. I mean, if they set it up, like we talked about the possibilities of Dewey, um, you know, FaceTiming Gail and blaming her for his death and just saying hurtful things. Yes, that would totally be horrible for Gail and traumatize her. You could do the same thing with Sydney, like once, maybe twice, but I don't think throughout the whole movie it would work. You know what I mean? Like I just don't think that it would be the type of thing they could do more than once or twice.
I just miss Roger L. Jackson's voice.
Yeah, yeah,
you know,
right.
that's
That was what they traded.
I like it didn't work in Scream 3. It's not working here. I don't know. I don't know. This is another situation like in Halloween Kills where we have Laurie in a hospital bed the whole time. It's like you guys did that in 2. It was criticized then, and now it's being criticized again. Don't
Yep.
make the same mistake twice. You can't. That's another thing. You can't have a Scream movie without Ghostface crazy dialogue over the phone, man. Like
Yeah.
that's just part of the series, man. That's part of what makes it scary and great. And just AI FaceTime calls versus a creepy phone call who it could be anyone on the other side. Like there's just not as much horror to something like that. You know what I mean? The
Yeah.
the phone calls made this series so iconic, I think, and
It did.
kind of stripping Scream 7 of that. I feel like it's another reason why this one loses the personality of Scream a
Yep.
little more. So I hope they get away from all that with whatever comes next.
Right.
Child's Play fan, thank you for the 2. Stu is still alive in my heart at the very least. Knight, anything else going on your channel that you want to talk about?
I'm just working on a couple things in the background. You know how that goes, and I'll be streaming hopefully on Saturday night, and yeah, and then we'll be back for the collective on Fate's channel on Monday. So just usual stuff in these next couple days.
Hell yeah, we're doing our never ending tour of Lethal Collective streams, so make
That's
sure to
right.
check them all out.
That's right.
We'll be live again on Monday. It'll be a ton of fun, guys. So
Oh
so
yeah.
much love. Please subscribe to the Night Watch Zone if you have not. I'm sure most of you are, but I still throw it out there, man. Night's awesome, and he makes some
Appreciate
great content. But so much love to you all. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. I'll be live again tomorrow to talk a little Terrifier because it's been a minute since we got into that, and I'm smelling some updates coming soon. I'm smelling them all right. Can't wait for that, man. Oh, that's going to be fun.
Right.
But so much love to you all. Thanks for being with us. And as always, everybody, peace out. Bye bye.
Peace.